Hello, I'm Jan Szerwiński and you're watching TVP World News. The largest and most diverse conclave in history is set to resume for day 2 of voting. The Cardinals started the process of choosing the new leader of the Catholic Church on Wednesday. The first ballot, however, was inconclusive. No pope in modern times has been elected in the first ballot, but given recent history, a final result is possible from day 2 onwards. So far, there are no clear favourites, although Italian Piero Parolin and Filipino Luis Antonio Tagle are considered front-runners in the race for the papacy. If it becomes obvious that neither can obtain a 2/3 majority, votes are expected to shift to other candidates. Voting is permitted 4 times a day, twice in the morning and twice in the evening. Now you can see black smoke, which occurred earlier today, indicating that the first vote carried out so far has also been inconclusive. Now, during the entire process, cardinals are isolated from the world and sworn to secrecy. Their phones and computers have been confiscated, and the red-hatted church officials are shuttled between the Sistine Chapel, where they vote, and the 2 Vatican guest houses, where they sleep and dine. Vladimir Putin welcomed Chinese President Xi Jinping for talks at the Kremlin on the eve of celebrations in Moscow, marking the 80th anniversary of the World War II victory over Nazi Germany. On Thursday morning, President Xi Jinping attended a welcome ceremony hosted by Vladimir Putin at the Kremlin. The 2 leaders are expected to discuss the development of China-Russia relations, regional affairs, and exchange views on global issues. After the China-Russia leaders' talks on Thursday, Xi Jinping will join other foreign leaders at a banquet marking the 80th anniversary of the Allied victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. President Xi Jinping's state visit to Russia will continue until Saturday. Xi's attendance is perceived as a strong display of unity between the 2 leaders at a time when US diplomacy under President Donald Trump has shifted global alliances. Now, according to Vladimir Putin, the military cooperation between China and Russia is the foundation of the alliance between the 2 nations. Speaking during a meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, Putin went on to claim that China and Russia are developing ties for the benefit of the people and not against any other country. However, it is worth noting
the military brotherhood between our peoples that developed during those harsh years of war is one of the fundamental foundations of modern Russian-Chinese relations, comprehensive partnership and strategic cooperation. We are developing our ties for the benefit of the peoples of both countries and not against anyone. Our relations are equal, mutually beneficial and non-opportunistic. We are currently facing an international backlash of unilateralism and power bullying. Together with Russia, China will shoulder its special responsibility as a world power and a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, stand up for Britain's responsibility and jointly promote a correct view of World War II history, safeguard the authority and status of the United Nations, resolutely defend the rights and interests of China, Russia, and the vast majority of developing countries.
Upon his arrival in the Russian capital, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić said that he came to Moscow to fight for the Serbian nation. At the same time, he also said his country remains on the path to further integration with the European Union.
President Aleksandar Vučić came to Moscow to attend Friday's Victory Day parade. Apart from engaging in celebrations, Vučić will also hold talks with Vladimir Putin about the future of Russian gas supply to Serbia. This will be the first meeting between the 2 officials since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. While in Moscow, the Serbian president accused Western leaders of a lack of understanding of the Balkan region. According to Vučić, 14% of Serbian territory has been taken to establish the state of Kosovo, which remains unrecognized by Belgrade.
Speaking to TVP World, Kosovo Deputy Prime Minister reflected on the situation in the region, and in particular on the fact that Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić is now in Russia for the Victory Day parade in Moscow.
Only tomorrow the President of Serbia will be in Moscow joining the military parade of Vladimir Putin and his allies. So it is a difficult region, it is difficult times, but not only for the Western Balkans, but for Europe at all. It is really difficult to explain how month after month the Serbian President Vučić does show to everybody that he is a true Russian proxy, copy and paste, Russian playbook.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky released a video address celebrating Ukraine's Remembrance and Victory Day. Walking the streets of Kiev, Zelensky paid his respects to those who perished on the battlefields of past wars, as well as those who have died fighting the Russian Federation ever since 2014.
Good morning, dear Ukrainians. Today is the day of remembrance and victory over Nazism, a day that we celebrate together with the whole world, with all those who 80 years ago fought for life, so that evil would lose, so that never again. Unfortunately, 3 years ago it happened again, and just like before, the air raid siren roared over Kyiv again. Tomorrow, the organizer of the mass graves in Bucha will speak about the atrocities of the Nazis, and the blockade of Leningrad will be spoken about by those who organized the blockade of Mariupol. There will be a parade of cynicism. There is simply no other way to call it. This is a very important place, a place of memory. It shows you why there's life, and why Ukraine is alive, and why it is so strong. Glory to the heroes. Thank you. Together we fight decisively, with force, with pressure, on the battlefield, in the diplomatic arena, and in the economic space, wherever possible, so that it is truly never again, or the world will have to conduct the denazification and demilitarization of Russia. Eternal memory to all who fought against evil, and glory to all who defend life today. Glory to Ukraine.
Slava Ukraini!
A powerful statement there from President Zelensky. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Air Force said that early on Thursday, a Russian military aircraft launched guided bombs on the Sumy region, marking a third attack carried out during the Kremlin-sponsored ceasefire.
Elsewhere, Ukrainian authorities reported that the skies over major cities were quiet, in contrast to the repeated attacks by Russian ballistic missiles and drone strikes recorded in the past months. Russia's three-day ceasefire is intended to mark the 80th anniversary of the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. It came into effect at midnight Moscow time. President Putin is hosting his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, and other leaders in Moscow. They're due to review a military parade in the capital's Red Square on Friday.
Events are taking place on Thursday to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II across Europe. 80 years ago, on the 8th of May 1945, the Allies declared the war against Nazi Germany had ended. In Poland, Prime Minister Donald Tusk and other officials are taking part in a series of ceremonies in Warsaw. The country lost more than 6 million citizens during the war, including about 640,000 as a result of direct warfare. In France, President Emmanuel Macron will preside over the annual ceremony at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. This afternoon, Macron will conduct a review of troops before giving a speech and laying a wreath at the Arc de Triomphe. A minute of silence will then be observed at France's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And now we're coming back to the conclave. We've already indicated that the Cardinals are now discussing who is going to become the head of the Catholic Church. There were so far 2 inconclusive votes carried out, one yesterday and one today, judging by the black smoke which has appeared at the famous chimney above the Sistine Chapel. We're now going to our correspondent in Rome, live with the latest updates. Alex Kadir is joining us now today to tell us what to expect. So Alex, what are the latest updates there and what do you think is going to happen next?
Well, we saw black smoke over St. Peter's Basilica behind me just a few minutes ago. An outcry from the crowd, hundreds, if not thousands of people with their eyes fixed on the chimney, which is just above there behind me. Black smoke this morning, to be expected, frankly, I should say this afternoon, after 2 rounds of voting in the morning. Not a great surprise that the Cardinals have not reached a conclusion as to who should be the next pope yet. That will carry on. Now the Cardinals have gone for a much-needed lunch, and I'm told for a much-needed nap. Of course, some of these cardinals are coming up to being 80 years old. There will be another couple rounds of voting in the afternoon, so we will expect a response from those around 7 p.m. here in the Vatican. Again, tens of thousands of people streaming in to find out who will be the next head of the Roman Catholic Church, in charge of 1.4 billion people around the world taking part in this, being a part of this church. So certainly a monumentous day here in Rome. Tens of thousands of people from all over the world have come here just to see who the next pope will be. At the moment, there are some front runners, including Cardinal Tagle of the Philippines, who's been dubbed the Asian Francis. But what everyone is saying, what the experts are saying behind the scenes, is that this is really one of the most unpredictable conclaves we've had in a long, long time. To give you a sense of time, in the 20th century, all conclaves were concluded either on the second or third day, which means we could have a new pope today or tomorrow.
Alex Kadir bringing us the latest from the Vatican. So no new pope for now, but we are keeping a close eye on what's going on with the conclave. And as soon as white smoke appears, we'll be getting to know that straight from TVP World. Alex, thank you very much for joining us here today. And I'm Jan Ślewiński. This concludes this edition of TVP World News. Please stay with us here on TVP World, though, for more news, updates and commentary.